like I haven't done since back when we was playing Madden, making wishes. Where's Aladdin when I need him? I went for doing shows for the per diem.
Theo, great speaking with you. Happy New Year, my friend. You and I, of course, we follow each other on social media. I've been seeing all the things you've been doing, keeping yourself fit, taking care of the family, doing so many positive things. How is it that you were able to keep your mind set in that positive manner, knowing what you had gone through in 2020, and as we look at it, kind of continuing with 2021 with so many things going on the negative side? How is it that you've been able to keep it on the positive side?
Number one, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it because I think it's difficult. It's a challenging year for us all. And social media is great for us to try to stay connected virtually, especially when we're dealing with lockdowns and state of emergency. But the deceiving part of social media is that we can often just put what we want to put on there. And so I think that, I have been keeping fit. I am with my family. I am working on business. I am working on music. I'm working on this Northern Power Summit. But it's also a challenge. And so sometimes I try to share some of those challenges as well. You know, I just got in a car accident last week, a hit and run. So I was safe, but somebody hit my car and ran off. So those things are tough, but you got to get through them, and especially with what we're dealing with now. So to answer your question, for me, it's been about putting my head down. And that's something I keep on saying to myself, you know, whether I'm going for a walk in nature or just to get out of my house sometimes, because again, we're spending so much time confined, is reminding myself to just keep putting my head down and do the work. And that's kind of my message with youth, is stay driven. And with Northern Power Summit this year, we're calling it Resounded. And that was my resounded truth that I shared in the group is you have to be committed to the process and that routine. And I try to stick with that routine each day and to work on that process and to visualize the future. Because right now I'd normally be in Europe at a music conference called Eurosonic, and I'd be looking forward to the Grammys in LA, which I've done the last few years. So I'm trying to envision 2021 being a success, but I'm also trying to work towards 2022.
Let's talk about Northern Power Summit. For folks who don't know what it is it exactly?
Northern Power Summit is a music conference that we've been doing now for 5 years. We were supposed to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary in August, but with COVID, we are shifting to a virtual format this year. It's going to be a 3-month series, and we're calling it Resounded, because Resounded to us just kind of means pivoting, adapting, and dealing with the changes. We're focusing on independent hustle and also mental health, which are two things that are really key these days. That's for January, but I want to touch on February for a moment too, because February we're talking about Black excellence. We call it Black 365 because Black history is in February, but it's not about being 28 days long. I think being Black as a Black person is about being Black 365. And it's also going to give us an opportunity to touch on some of the events over the past year, whether we're talking about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, or Black Lives Matter. It was such an amazing thing to see people come together and lead these protests, standing up in parades, especially in Canada and especially in these smaller communities. I come from smaller towns and where there's only a few Black people. So to see so many people stand up was important. And to wrap up what I'm saying, I think it's to bring it back to Northern Power Summit. It's important for us because whether you want to call it urban music, which now I guess we're not using as much, or if you want to call it Black music, this is something that is underrepresented in Canada as far as a professional terms. We've had labels making statements, but there hasn't been a lot of resources for Black artists or collectively, and we want to continue to do that, and that's why we started this up and why we continue to do so.
So here I am. I want to be involved with it. What are some of the things that I will be able to see? You've mentioned some of the very important parts of it, but there are other important parts too. What am I going to be able to see? What will we be able to be involved with? And who are some of the speakers and celebrities going to be part of all this?
NorthernPowerSummit.com is the central spot for everything Northern Power Summit related. And what we like to always do is bring together a mix of artists and professionals. that really focus on that independent mind state, because so many artists are doing things independently in hip-hop and in black music. So we're going to have people like Major One, who's a Canadian success story from Canada and Singapore, but has spent the last several years back in Singapore. I think she was born there, but she definitely made her waves in the Canadian industry. But we wanted to highlight her because of her independent hustle and success and her drive. And it's just amazing seeing her record at Tough Gong Studios in Jamaica, continue to tour, and kind of have some of the biggest years of her career right now and in the last couple of years, even though she's been doing it 15 plus years. We've also got Mcdonald, who hit #1 on the iTunes charts, U.S. stateside, a few weeks ago, beating out even Eminem's new release. He's a Canadian artist who is currently based in L.A., again, just making huge moves, even without a manager and a label. And finally, we've got Wendy Day, who is somebody in the business side of hip-hop that I grew up reading about in rap magazines like The Source and XXL and Rap Pages, and she helped Cash Money get their legendary multi-million-dollar deal. She was instrumental in Eminem getting signed and worked with Tupac coming up. So I'm looking forward to, I'm going to be moderating that panel with Wendy and being able to talk to her about those classic figures in hip-hop and what they can teach artists today from those stories. And she is heavily involved with the new generation. So it's all about getting those techniques to artists, to managers, to labels, independent labels, of what can we do now to pivot and adapt in 2021.
Just curious, any performances this time around?
No performances scheduled yet. We're looking at trying to incorporate performances in March for our March series, and possibly even beyond, doing some other events. What we've noticed is it's been difficult for artists so far to really understand their online setup.
Yes.
So even it's coming up to almost a year, I should say. I found that at the beginning of the pandemic, everybody was doing these Facebook Lives, and then all of a sudden it seemed to stop. And now I'm really excited that organizations like SOCAN are saying we are going to put artists for their live performances. And I think it's really important that they kind of set a benchmark, saying that they want 100 people to be viewing it. And that gives artists just a goal to shoot for, because so many artists are so confused of what they should do. And also organizations like Factor, I really applaud them for continuing their showcasing program, because so many conferences around the world are going virtual. So it's going to give artists that opportunity. So right now we don't have that plan, but it's something we're really looking forward to incorporating, because I want to give artists the chance to shine and to hone their craft and to be ready, so that once this pandemic is finally over, we'll be back on stage.
And for folks who are listening to this whole thing on Regional Independent Media, regionalmedia.com, it is tough because a lot of artists, as we speak right now, is a stay at home. So it's not like people can just say, "Oh, let me go book the studio." Those studios may not be open. It's not like they can do it in their homes, because their homes are their homes, and their homes aren't really set up for performances and things like that. So this is a good thing to hear about, that hopefully things will be worked out. But, it's tough for the artists. It's tough for everybody. But this is a great thing that there's still a platform in some way, shape, or form that maybe even we're not hearing the music, we're at least being able to hear from the artists, and they're still speaking from the heart. And that's still music to our souls also.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying there, because it is difficult to transform your living room or your bedroom into a concert hall. But, it's kind of given us an opportunity to prepare for that, because that is going to be our reality for the next several months at least. So I think it's really important for artists to understand that. We have to get beyond just complaining about COVID, because it's just our reality, and we have to thrive in it. And I'm looking forward to the music that artists are working on right now, and our conference being a small part of that. I was reading something about an A&R saying that he believes some of the best music is going to come out over the next few months based on these major label artists and artists we've looked up to kind of have been hunkered down and locked in studios, fully focused on music for sometimes the first time since they really broke big, because they're not touring. They don't have to get on the road all the time. And so I think that's also our message collectively to artists, is just really work on your craft and remember that we can get through this and there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's important to share that positive message, especially when, we're all feeling down some days because of what we're going through.
Absolutely. When does the conference begin? And again, you've mentioned it already. How do we get involved? How much does it cost? Give us the full works.
Northern Power Summit, resounded 5th year anniversary. You can find all the information at northernpowersummit.com, including links to our social media and registration. We are offering limited free registration because of our platinum sponsor, Believe Digital. Had to give them a shout out. We have over 2,000 registrations so far, so we are encouraging people to sign up because we do have a limited amount of registrations that we can accept. And was there another part of that question? I wanted to direct people to it. Oh, the date. The date is Saturday, January 23rd is the first edition of Northern Power Summit Resounded, and it's always the third Saturday of the month. So it's also going to be February 20th on a Saturday afternoon, March 20th, Saturday afternoon. We didn't want you to be taking time off of work or multitasking with it one screen while you're busy working. We want to make this an event that you kind of get dressed up for. You have a celebration, you have a party, you have a couple of drinks there. Could be alcohol, could be non-alcoholic. You make your popcorn, your wings, whatever, and you sit around and you get that knowledge like we would bring in and live and in person at every Northern Power Summit.
Okay, before we go, because as I mentioned right off the top, you've always been someone who has kept positivity going, and as we speak for Ontario, the lockdown is locked down. In fact, I was just looking on social media before we started an interview that police will be able to stop you if you are outside to ask you what you're doing and where you're going. They're going to be allowed to do this. People are already feeling, so angry and so anxious and so upset and scared. And this to the fuel to the flame, it could just be even more worse. And then, of course, watching what's been going on in the United States. Like I said, what a way to start off 2021. What advice can you give those folks about hopefully keeping that positivity, getting through this storm, and hopefully getting some calm waves?
I think you bring up a really good point. I was just seeing it on social media myself. A friend of mine was posting about when should he go for his daily walk. Should he do it at day or should he do it at night? And another friend commented that he better watch out when he does this. And it's troubling to me because the person who made this comment is in their 40s. And to feel that even in your 40s as a grown man, past just your 30s in adulthood, but, in your 40s, to feel still a trepidation to go outside and to just walk around. And while we are respecting law with a stay-at-home order, there is that we're allowed to go exercise and go groceries. And, we have all seen how crazy Walmart is. But just that recognition that there's so many Black people and people of color feel threatened by the police in this time. And so the way I try to take it is, because my roots are from the East Coast of Canada, as well as small town Canada, I try to stay positive. And, you could say that's cheesy, you could say it's impractical, but I believe it's true. When I visited my grandparents and my family in Cape Breton, I remember when I walked down the street that people would always say, "Hey, how you doing?" Or, "Hey, how you doing, brother?" And if you didn't respond to them, they would be like, "Oh, he thinks he's stuck up because he's from Ontario or he's from Toronto." And so I try to carry that same energy with me as far as being polite and being friendly. When I'm out, I am an avid jogger. I'm going to be going for 6K later this afternoon. And sure, some people do cross the side of the road, mostly because of COVID. But, I try to nod my head, stay away, say, "Hi, how you doing?" but try to be positive. And I think it's really important that we try to keep that positive energy going, because submitting to negativity at this time just takes us down a dangerous rabbit hole, especially what you've seen in the States, not just with police relations with Black people, but politically as well. So we're living in a difficult time, and I encourage people to focus on their mental health, which we're going to be talking about at Northern Power Summit, because we have to get through this with that positive energy.
Amen to that. Social media, where do we go to follow you?
You can find me at I am D.O. Gibson. That's I am D.O. Gibson on Instagram, Twitter, IamDOGibson.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere.
And before we go, any new music coming out soon?
Oh, yeah. Well, you heard it here first. I haven't talked about it on any other outlet or posted about it. I have a new song called Black 365, which I'm really excited about. It's a collaboration song, kind of partially inspired by the song Wish I Could. Dub J got behind and involved Maestro and Jordan and Jellystone and JD Era. And this Black 365 song is a way for us to talk about what it means to be a Black Canadian today. As I mentioned, I don't believe Black history is just 28 days long. I believe being Black is 365. So I've assembled artists like Drew Grange singing the chorus. We got Rochester on there. And then we have someone like Terrell Safety from the West Coast of Canada to talk about what it's like to be Black on the West Coast, and myself as well as part of this larger being Black Canadian 365 and tying it in with Northern Power Summit. So I'm really excited for this song to come out in February as well.
Looking forward to it, my friend. You be safe. Big love to you and your family. Hope to see you in person at some point in 2021. Cross fingers on that. Keep doing everything you're doing, man, because that's exactly what we need, and we will definitely talk soon. Be safe, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.